Hey guys, Joe here from JCS-Charting. Welcome to another market update. What you see here are the prints of DAX from December 1st all the way up to last Friday, December 19th. It gives you the open, the high, the low, the close, and the adjusted close into the Cetra at 6 p.m. I want you to pay attention on these volume readings. 131 million contracts got traded at the previous Friday, which is also caused by the big OPEX we had on that particular Friday. But every time we have seen such large volume inputs, we had quite a significant rally into a certain direction, and we will have a look at that right now. And we're going to jump into my Discord. This is an indicator report. It's for advanced membership only. If you want to become a member, by the way, you're welcome to sign up at www.jcs-charting.com. You find various tools here, a JCS calculator, macro calendar, for instance. You see all the upcoming events of the following weeks. But let's jump into that indicator report we just talked about. This here gives you the upside downside volume of the weekly time frame. By the way, all this data is provided by my partner, wallstreetkorea.com. We had a significant rise of the upside volume on the weekly time frame during that entire rally from the low, which occurred 3 weeks ago. And while checking on the daily upside downside volume, it also gives us a significant inflow of upside volume on last Friday with that rally which started on Thursday. Also, the advanced decline volume line is at new all-time highs, while DAX is still stuck in the sideways consolidation. Is that a leading indicator which tells us there's something bigger behind the scenes? And also, smart money is printing in the fourth higher low into the chart, makes it very possible that smart money is about to build up even more during that rally at DAX. And we continue with the daily chart. It's a Cetra indication, and while checking on the latest high volume prints, by the way, they are all associated with the OPEX. The same occurred on September 19th right here, and after that, boom, we saw a rally to the upside. The same here, large volume near the low, boom, we went all the way to the upside. Even that low here on November 24th was associated with large volume, and boom, we went to the upside. This was the June OPEX, and the last one we have seen in April. Again, large volume inflows, boom, it marked the low of that particular day. And we're staying in the daily time frame. Still the Cetra indication, possible broadening top still here at DAX. We have a high, a low, a higher high, a lower low, and we are looking for another higher high somewhere near 24,900 for next week. That projection here, we had that in already from last week. We wanted to see a closure of that fair value gap, which did not happen. We didn't close that gap here neither. By the way, the futures retested that high here. We're gonna have a look at the smaller time frame at that. Possible inverted shoulder, head shoulder, by the way. If this here is the making of the right shoulder, the neckline runs at 24,448. This is also a trigger level 24,465 to the upside. Once we get a daily close above, we are running higher within that green sequence. And we're jumping into the DAX JFD indication. H4 time frame. In my previous updates, I talked about that A, B, C to the upside, which has a corrective nature. But by now, you see here that high from November 28th. DAX has touched that at the overnight readings, and quite precisely before it ran up massively by another, almost 500 points to the upside. So that these highs here, they just got reconfirmed. So this is actually a bullish sign, and we have to be cautious right here, because DAX could be in a possible breakout if we take over that green projection, meaning we are also running out of that potential bullish flag channel. It has not really touched that upper trend line. We missed a few bips on Friday evening, 7 bips. So yeah, basically it's confirmed. The big question is now, is DAX possibly running out of that channel and getting back into our red resistance zone, which we shorted, by the way, the previous Friday, and we took a few partial profits out here, but we took not most positions out here. We kept them, and then we went on flat somewhere right here at 24,250. We still made a bit profit, but the big question again is now, is DAX running within that flag channel for a lower low that would fit our red sequence? Because that red sequence has triggered for lower minimum targets, still are open between 23,771 up to 23,828, and these targets remain open unless DAX breaks through that red resistance zone here, which worked already on the 12th of December. As soon as we break through here, the way is open all the way up to 25,000 at the German index. What's interesting on the hourly chart at the JFD indication, we have an inverse shoulder head shoulder pattern with a slightly rising neckline. We broke out of that, we triggered that blue sequence, hit all the min target, and what's very important here, we closed that fair value gap, that large fair value gap here on the hourly chart, and then DAX reversed. Now, again, there are two options on the hourly chart. Either we backtest that trend line here and we ramp up. We could even break all the way down to that green support. But once we arrive here and that breaks, we are still having these open targets out of the H4 time frame. And they are still very likely, again, as soon as we are not breaking above that fair value gap here to the upside. And here we see another hourly chart. This is a cash indication, and here we had a shoulder head shoulder pattern, which backtested first that neckline, but then it broke that neckline to the upside. It doesn't make that pattern invalid yet, because we need to break through that head here at 24,489. So this pattern is still also active. It actually looks quite clean, but we could see a bullish Wolfe wave turning out of that. That means we have a low, a high, a lower low, a lower high, and probably another lower low for the first target, which is at 23,761 before we ramp higher at DAX. NASDAQ 100, H4 time frame, it's a cash indication. We have that bullish flag channel here, very clean touch here, which was anticipated for my members quite a while ago. Then we did that pullback here. Why a pullback? Because we are running over the green 100%. And most of the time, that sequence hits the minimum targets, which is the 26,267, the 138, or even the 161 at 26,679. That also would mean we're running into new all-time highs. However, the alternative scenario is still that we are filling out that flag channel as an alternative wave 4 to hit that red 100% at 23,627. Presently, what I have seen last Friday, I prefer actually the upside, but we need to break out of that channel to get the confirmation. The S&P 500 has a similar pattern, but it's called different. A descending broadening wedge here in blue, and that means we have a high, a lower high, a lower low, and then another lower high, which triggers that pattern. We broke out, and then we didn't went as high as this projection suggests, but still we triggered that green sequence here to the upside, and then we did that pullback, which was perfectly anticipated by me. I was trading that. We went long, quite intense right here, but during that rally I got rid of all positions into Friday afternoon already, taking nice profits here, probably a bit too early, because I thought we are going a bit deeper still, but that never came. That sequence has a minimum target. That's the second minimum target at 7022 up to 7108. And the first target of that pattern here, that descending broadening wedge, is waiting at 7148. And here we got the Dow Jones hourly chart JFD indication, and this one was similar to DAX. We are still missing out that minimum target zone between 47,648 up to 47,744. DAX has also missed that target zone, while the S&P 500 hit that zone precisely, and the NASDAQ as well. I will show you that in a minute again. So the Dow Jones is still missing out to have another selling leg. Probably it could happen Monday or Tuesday with a quick sell after that OPEX we have seen on Friday before we ramp higher. And here's that chart from the S&P 500 hourly chart JFD indication. And here you see that the minimum target zone between 6715 up to 6727 got hit precisely. Here's my long order at 6715. It got hit precisely. I gave that to my members way up here, so they knew it's going to come into here, and I said buy as the projection is suggesting. Unfortunately, I was selling right into that zone right here because that is my minimum target zone of that green sequence, and I stick to these sequences and to take profits. And to take profits is never the wrong decision, guys. And while we haven't finished talking about the S&P 500, here's the VIX, the volatility of the S&P 500, at least for the upcoming contracts of the next 30 days. And what's kind of odd here is that we have a very clean cycle pattern here, running always in the same time lengths of around 6 weeks. And I thought here on the 12th we have hit that cycle low, and now on Friday we came all the way back down there and also to hit that trend line. Now, while zooming out here a bit, here was by the way a cycle shift, we had the similar effect with these two spikes. We have seen these two spikes right here before we went into such a large volatility event into March and then April. We all know what has happened in April. We formed a major low before running higher into all-time highs. Now, are we seeing something similar again, or are they gonna press on the volatility and crush it even lower? Which would mean we are running back to low levels out of summer in 2024, where we got a print at 10.62 on the VIX. Next chart is silver on the daily time frame. The last update I gave my members somewhere here, somewhere around 55. I said most likely we're running into that projection, which is on. We triggered that green sequence 59.829 for higher, and this was our minimum target zone. Pretty sure we are going to see 68.674 very soon, with the last target of that cycle here at 71.513. By the way, my intermediate term cycle targets are a bit higher, somewhere between $76 to $79. And this is the H4 time frame of silver. I gave an important update to my members on Friday afternoon. I said, well, have a pay particular attention on that high here, and that got reconfirmed on the 18th, and then on the 19th once again I marked that green zone to run higher within that yellow sequence and see what happened. We run all the way up to hit that last target at 67.383. Now we are starting to reject a little, probably running a bit lower, but the green sequence here, this is this one here, it got triggered for higher into 67.700 up to 68.298. Last target here is 69.581 at silver. Also great to see here the red 100%. It was holding for these two spikes, which is strong support at silver now. Resistance turning into support. And gold has been a bit of a pain in the ass the last couple of days. Another symmetrical triangle after we have seen that large symmetrical triangle here. And yeah, symmetrical triangles like to keep faking out or try to oscillate around that upper or lower trend line before they do the proper move. However, targets to the upsides are 4384 up to 4425 for the 100% move at gold. And most of the time triangles are used as consolidation pattern in the trend, and the trend is clearly up. And Ethereum on the H4 time frame, quick update on that bearish Wolfe wave wedge. I came up with that somewhere here. Perfect retest of that lower trend line, and then I gave my members that. I even posted that on X, that 100% trigger, which got triggered right here. And you see, not very precise, but still a valid turnaround within that sequence. That looks like an inverted shoulder head, double head shoulder pattern, so that could get us somewhere near to these highs at 3155 at Ethereum. Even that target line got missed. We could be done here to the downside at Ethereum. And Bitcoin H4 time frame, you see how many times it went up and down on that 100% trigger, 85,894. We have two confirmations below that 100%. That means these targets are actually on 82,543 up to 83,508. Could even get us down to 80,473 now. That red sequence remains valid as long as we stay below 93,000. Yeah, and once again, if you want to become a member of JCS-Charting, you're welcome to join the advanced membership. Got plenty of tools here, the JCS calculator, the macro calendar we talked about earlier. I publish here my trade setup. These are daily trades. Yeah, small stop loss was always a 3-to-1 or 4-to-1 risk reward ratio. This one here didn't work out, by the way. Neither did this one here. Here we got a nice taking profit also on this previous trades. Right here, the intermediate trade, they worked much better. Here is where I told that I went out on including my hedges on DAX. So I'm flat now, just holding positions from April. Here you also see that I closed most of my position. We made 638 points. And also nice points at the SP500, the NASDAQ, the DJIA, and more. That was quite positive for the whole week at all these trades. The macro calendar, yeah, it just gives you a summary of the events nicely listed. So you have that all in one channel. And if you like all of that, you're welcome to give me a like on that video or a nice comment. I see you probably not next week because of the long holiday weekend, and I wish you all a Merry Christmas. Bye bye.